Hi, this is Carrie with Change Matrix. I am at Turner Falls Park in Oklahoma. It is so beautiful here. If you get a chance to come here, they have camping spaces, they have cabins you can rent. It is beautiful. Great swimming holes. Definitely gonna come back here. Yeah. So, I'm making this video because I want to talk about luck. Being lucky, being unlucky, being a victim, victim mentality, and all of that, and kind of breaking it down to kind of pull the layers back on it. So, there are people who are lucky, and there are people who are unlucky. And every single one of us is lucky because we're alive. We are lucky to exist. Like, just think about that for a second. Just existing is such an honor. Like, honor yourself, honor everything in your reality, because it's an honor to exist, just to exist. And by the way, God is not a man in the sky. God is universal life force energy. It is vibration. It's what gives things vibration. It's what brings things to life. Everything in existence is vibrating, and it is that vibration, that energy. That's God. That's why God's everything, because everything is God. Makes sense, right? Okay. Now getting to, are you lucky, unlucky, all of that. Is there a way to change that? There is a way to change that. Okay. The environment that we grow up in, we don't get a choice in that. We either are lucky or not lucky. And however you grew up, you got lucky in some ways because you survived it. You are alive. And if you're struggling in any way, then there were some unlucky things that happened that conditioned you to have bad luck, that conditioned you to, struggle, to be unlucky, to be the way you are, to think the way you are. Now, there's two sides to this coin. In life, there's your belief systems that do dictate how your life goes, but then there's also energy. And as children, we absorb the energy that is around us. We form beliefs based on our experiences. And all the beliefs that you have formed are very logical. Otherwise, you wouldn't have formed those beliefs, right? Now, those beliefs, that energy, it could support you in having a good life, and it could block you from having a good life. Me, for instance, in many ways, I have been unlucky, and in other ways, I've been very lucky. I figured out how to do hair at a young age. That was always a talent of mine, because unfortunately, I had to pay attention to my surroundings in order to survive, because my mom was crazy. I had to gauge if she was going to just all of a sudden snap and fly off the handle and start screaming and yelling. I had to pay attention to if my parents' best friend was around, and if I was left alone with him, I needed to run, because he was a horrible person. He raped and murdered children. And I'm lucky to be alive. I'm lucky to be alive. Okay. I'm fortunate that I grew up in that environment and I have traumas from that, but lucky that I'm alive, and it caused me to be hypervigilant, which has its pluses and minuses. It caused me to be an empath, which has its pluses and minuses. Sometimes it sucks being an empath, because I feel other people's pain, their stress, their frustrations. But I also feel their joy. And I have an understanding. I can be compassionate. And I know that I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. And everything you have in life, you're lucky to have it. You are lucky. Because there's a lot of people out there that work their asses off. They're just as talented, or sometimes even more talented than someone else. They're doing all the right things, and yet things aren't working out for them because there is this unlucky energy in their field. There is this deep subconscious unhealed wound that they thought they had healed from, but it's still there, right? And they're trying everything like me. I've worked hard my whole life. I've worked hard. I've been working since I was 15. But I was unlucky in having a family that enjoyed sabotaging my happiness and my health. And anytime I found something that empowered me or was good for me, they found a way to ruin it. They're always sabotaging me. And I was always trying to be one step ahead of them, but somehow, some way, they were always managing to sabotage me. And so that energy is really stuck there in my field, and it keeps playing out in my life. No matter what I do, I'm like, no, this time is not going to happen to me. I'm going to win. I'm going to rise above. And there it is again. It's like I'm powerless to it. And there's a lot of things that we are powerless to. And we need help. And nobody gets through life without help. None of us, no one is a self-made person. No one is a self-made person. Every opportunity you had those opportunities because someone gave you that opportunity. They didn't have to. Nobody has to give you anything in life. No one has to give you any opportunity. Whatever you have in life, you are so lucky to have it. And yes, maybe you worked hard. Just like every actor and actress, they all say they got lucky because they did get lucky. Because it's kind of a crapshoot. It's like winning the lottery. There's a lot of very talented actors and actresses out there, and sometimes it is a matter of being in the right place at the right time. It's a stroke of luck. You know, it's knowing the right person, and sometimes it's not even knowing the right person. It's just everything being in alignment, right? So I don't want to say this to discourage anyone, because you can change your luck. But we're all victims in some way or another. We all are. And here's the thing. When you have a trauma, when you have an issue, when anything is going on in your life that's not fair, that's not justice, whatever, you're struggling in whatever way, it's important first and foremost to acknowledge how this event is affecting you. That's number one, acknowledgement. Number two, validate. Validate how you're feeling, because how you're feeling is valid. However you're feeling is valid, or you wouldn't be feeling it. There's a reason why you're feeling what you're feeling. Validate it, okay? And then number three, this is a system I came up with. Number three, take a minute and think, okay, this happened to me. This has negatively impacted my life. It's not fair. Of course I am angry. Of course I'm upset. Of course I want justice. Of course whatever. Yeah, okay. I am justified in how I'm feeling. That is validated, because that's the key, is being validated. If you don't validate it, it's going to still stay stuck there. Okay, this is validated. I don't have to prove to anyone that I've been wronged and that I need help, because I have validated. Now, what am I going to do about it? What am I going to do about it? What can I do about this situation? Ask yourself three questions. The first one is, okay, how can I benefit from this? Because in any situation, you can turn it around and you can benefit from it. How has this event happened for my benefit? In what way could I benefit from this? Right? I lost my job. That job was becoming very toxic. People were sabotaging my work. I was working extra hours because I was constantly having to fix my work, go back and fix my work before I turned it in. That happened in my last two jobs. Very fucking irritating. So here's the benefit. I don't have to deal with that shit anymore. And perhaps maybe there's a better job waiting for me. Okay? This better job has not surfaced yet, but I believe it will. Whether it's a job or a business opportunity, whatever. It's gonna happen. I'm fucked. No, it'll happen. Okay. So number 1, sit down with yourself. Be honest with how you're feeling. Number 2, validate your feelings. Number 3, ask yourself, how can I benefit from this? How can this be a benefit? And also, number 4, ask yourself, how did I contribute to this? What was I thinking? What was I feeling? Honestly, my last job, I didn't want to work on that project because I knew it was a money laundering scam and stealing tax dollars, and I have ethics and values, and I'm not going to just kick the can down the road. You hired me to do a job. Let's fucking get it done. Put your fragile egos aside and your corruption aside, and let's just get this shit done. That's my attitude. And in the corporate world, I guess they don't like that. They like dysfunction. They like wasting people's money and time and kicking the can down the road and just feeding their ego. They just want you to feed their ego and tell you what they want to hear, not what they need to hear. Yeah. I prefer working for small businesses that have a tough skin, and they don't want to just hear what they want to hear. They want to hear what they need to hear because they want their business to be successful. Yeah. And small businesses, they can't afford to make mistakes. Big businesses, yeah, they can. Because all they're doing is schmoozing and getting government money, which is your money and my money. They're basically stealing our money, these big corporations. And they're dysfunctional. And they like to perpetuate dysfunction. But that could be a whole nother video. So, this is my method. Acknowledge how you're feeling. Acknowledge what happened. Validate your feelings. Think about, how did I contribute to this happening? I kind of had a bad attitude. I tried not to show that. But people feel your energy. I was just trying to get shit done. But I was not happy working on that project because it was such a shit show and it was so mismanaged. That's the high-speed rail project, by the way, in California. Yeah, total waste of our funds. How did you contribute to this happening? How can this benefit? How can this be a benefit? What can you learn from this situation? Right? And now, what can you do about it? How can you turn things around? How can you make this work in your favor? And what can you learn to... Oh my God, it's always something. What? Sorry. I don't know how that alarm was there. I didn't have any alarms on. Strange. Okay. Always a distraction. Anyway. Yeah, so there's that modality. Now, I want to talk about, luck, being lucky, being unlucky. Okay. So like when I first, so I got lucky. I'm just going to talk about my life for examples. I got lucky. Well, I was unlucky that my mom would not take us to a salon to get our hair cut. She would cut our hair, and she was terrible at it. And I had bone straight hair that showed every single scissor mark. So I was unlucky that my hair looked like shit. But then I was lucky that it motivated me to figure out how to cut my own hair. Because I was like, I got to figure this out, or I'm going to keep looking like a dork with these horrible haircuts. So I figured it out. It was a little trial and error, but I figured it out. It's not hard. And then I also got lucky that my sister that's a year older than me has super curly hair. You cut 1 inch off, it's like cutting 3 inches off. You cut that much off, you're actually cutting that much off. Because when it dries, it shrinks up. And so I got lucky to watch and observe her hair. Now, I was unlucky, and I grew up in a very dangerous, toxic environment. My mom was crazy, and I'm, not lucky that I had all that trauma and disempowerment and all that stuff, but I got lucky in a way that it made me hypervigilant to paying attention to my surroundings. So now I have this ability to really pay attention and to see how things work. And so it's made me a really good problem solver because I know how to observe and see how things are actually working in real time. I know how to observe people and hone in on their personalities and hone in on what their issues are and how to solve it, because I've had to solve my problems. I've had some serious things to overcome. I've never been an addict, never went down that road. I'm lucky that I never went down that road. I'm lucky that I never decided to go down that road. But see, in life, we're all lucky and unlucky. We're lucky we make good decisions. We're not lucky we make bad decisions. There is luck and there is bad luck. And we can change that. And it's being aware and knowing how to change it. Those two things. So growing up, we don't really have any control of how our environment is. And our experiences dictate and shape how we see ourselves and how we fit in the world and what we deserve to have and not have, and what we're capable of and what we're not capable of. Now, if you're raised in an environment where you got the opportunity to be an engineer, an entrepreneur, and you got to sell things and make money, you got lucky with that. And you had abusive, oppressive parents like mine, that every time you tried to start a little side business and sell things and make money and be independent, they squashed that and blocked you and prevented you from being able to do it and berated you and told you were a piece of shit and how dare you try to be like independent and think for yourself, and so then that creates an energetic block in you. So in life, we're lucky and we're unlucky, and anything you have in life, you're lucky to have it. Any good event, any good decisions you've made in life, you're lucky that you had the knowledge or the energies were aligned for you to make that good decision, for things to actually work out, because there are people who do everything right and nothing works out, like me. I've been very unlucky because my family was so incredibly toxic, so oppressive. Every time I tried to talk, they would cut me off, ridicule me, put me down, make me feel like a piece of shit, like I didn't deserve anything. Who was I to ask for respect, to demand respect? Who was I to ask for anything, And, yeah, so there's that. Yeah, and then how you get, subconsciously programmed, it runs deep. It's like deep running waters within you, and you could try everything to overcome that, and then you keep getting pulled down into that. And that's kind of like, I feel like I'm a miracle, and in my life I've overcome so many things. I've had so many epiphanies. I've come up with so many things that now people are making videos about and being life coaches and making money off of things I figured out a long time ago. And I figure things out, it works for me for a little bit, and then it stops working. It stops working because, you know what? We need community. We need a community. And here's the thing, when you've been so traumatized, it can be really hard and challenging to allow yourself to really connect with others, to really emotionally connect with others, because it's scary, because the people you emotionally connected with abused you and brought you down, and that energy is still there. So then when you do connect with someone, inevitably they end up being like your family, and they ultimately betray you and sabotage you and bring you down or they try to. So this is tricky. It can be very tricky in overcoming certain traumas and changing your luck and changing your life. It's not impossible. It can happen. And there are support groups. I'm so glad I finally, at age 48, I finally found ACA. And it started the year I was born, 1971. Like, how come nobody told me about ACA? In my 20s, I was like, I wish I was an alcoholic or a drug addict, because then I'd have a support group to go to. But I'm not an addict. I'm not abused, spouse. So there's like no support group for me. But there was ACA, and nobody told me about it. And I really wish more people knew about ACA, because it's a good support group. It's not perfect, because we're humans, we're not perfect, and I'm still looking for my tribe. And I realize I have been, the Bible says don't be yoked with disbelievers. And it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, if you're not a Christian, don't hang out with Christians. If you're a Christian, whatever. No, it just is like, don't hang out with people that are not aligned with your values. Because if they're not aligned with your values, they're not going to support your values. So whatever your particular values are, you're going to find people that somewhat align with that. You're not going to find 100%. We're all different and unique. But, yeah. Do you get lucky finding those people or not lucky finding those people, I got lucky in figuring out how to do hair. I got lucky that me and my sisters all had different hair textures, so I got to figure out how to cut different hair textures. I already knew how to cut hair before I went to beauty school. I got lucky that I was able to find the ROP program and go to beauty school and not have to pay for it. And I got to do that my last year and a half of high school. And after graduating high school, I graduated from beauty school and I got my license and started working. So I got lucky in that, right? But then I got lucky in getting into a salon where they had really good training. But then I got unlucky, and I don't know why, but they singled me out and they were cheating me on my commissions. And I finally caught on because I saw other people's paychecks. I'm like, why are they making more money than me? I'm just as busy as them. And because I was getting cheated on my commissions, I still had to live at home with my crazy mom, who was sabotaging everything in my life. So I was unlucky in that, because if I hadn't been, and I never got compensated, I went to the labor board. They were supposed to help me and they didn't. So the government owes me big time. Yeah, they were supposed to help me and they didn't. Unlucky. I tried everything I could to get my money that I worked hard for. I basically was a slave. I was a slave. If you're working for free and you didn't agree to that, that's slavery. Okay? And our government supported slavery because they allowed me to not get paid for the work I did. And I had it documented. That's bullshit. Okay. So then I'm like, fuck this. I'm just going to go rent a chair and be my own boss. And I did the math. I'm like, I'll be making 5 times the amount of money. Like, literally 5 times the amount of money. And I could move out. I could be free. I can not have an old beater car that breaks down all the time that I got to work on all the time. Lucky I had a dad show me how to work on cars. Lucky I knew how to work on cars. Unlucky I had an old beater that broke down all the time. It was unreliable. Yeah. So I left that salon. My first week I was booked solid. I'm like, yes, I'm going to make money. My first day of work, only 2 people showed up. Because that salon that screwed me over gave out a year's worth of free haircuts to all my clients and a half off color perm. They wiped out my clientele overnight. I had to start cleaning houses part-time to rebuild up my clientele. And then when I had my clientele rebuilt up, literally the day after was my last day cleaning houses, I got in a horrible car accident. And I had to take a break from work for 2 months. And then my clientele dwindled down again. And then I was broke again. It's like I just kept getting hit with all this bad luck. And now I get so pissed off when I see all these ads like, were you in a car accident? You could get all this money. I'm like, where the hell were you back then when I needed you? I had to drop out of college. I was working full-time. I was in college full-time. I was getting straight A's. I was tutoring other students in math and chemistry. I was in the theater department doing acting, stringing up the lights, making the costumes, the sets. Like, I don't know how I was doing all that. And I was learning how to write music. I would hear music in my head, and I'm not good at playing an instrument, but I was learning how to write the music. And I used to write music for other bands. And I actually heard one of my songs on the radio once. I was like, this sounds really familiar. And then I was like, oh my God, I wrote this song. I'm like, it's so awesome that it's on the radio. I don't get credit for it. I don't get any money for it. But it just was like, wow, that was me. I did that. And nobody needs to know. I know. So whatever. There are people who get compensated for other people's work. And there are people who don't get compensated for their own work. It's bullshit. But that's life. Life is not fair, and some people get lucky and some people are not lucky. That's life. How do you make yourself lucky when you're unlucky? Because I definitely have been unlucky a lot in my life. That's for damn sure. And I'm tired of working hard. I'm tired of this. Yeah, it's exhausting. But I know things are going to turn around. They're going to change. Because I'm getting down to the nitty-gritty root of it all. And sometimes it takes time. It takes dedication. It takes tenacity. That's why when I was, because of the traumas, I had to be hypervigilant. It created me to be a good problem solver. Lucky in being a good problem solver. When I was a hairstylist, I wasn't just doing people's hair. I was solving all their life problems. Relationships. I can't tell you how many people I hooked up together and they got married and were happy. I can't tell you how many marriages I've saved. I can't tell you how many parents I helped them understand their kids. How many people I've helped with landlord-tenant rights. How many people I've helped with their business. How I've connected them with people. How many people I've got them jobs. You know? I helped them with marketing ideas. And I had a lot of clients that were scientists and engineers, and I helped them solve their work problems. That's why I went back to school and became an engineer. I'm like, I'm already doing engineering, basically. I should be an engineer and get paid for this. Yeah, so like, lucky that I had that problem-solving ability, unlucky in that I don't know how to not get sabotaged by people and taken advantage of, and I don't know how to like get the business going, because every time I try to get my business ideas up and off the ground, instead of people helping me, they just steal my ideas. All the smash up rooms, my idea, mine, my idea. That was stolen from me. Yeah, so many ideas. Oh, those things that you see that sanitize your cell phone with the UV lights, my idea. But I had the idea for cleaning money. Yeah, so many things. I mean, I could go on and on and on. It's annoying. And I've had a lot of epiphanies, things that I've realized that other people have stolen. That's going to be my next video. I'm going to talk about all of my ideas that I've come up with, theories. Anyway. So part of bad luck is the energy around you. We all have an auric field. Sometimes it doesn't matter what you do or you don't do. Like, I worked my ass off, got through graphic design school in my 20s. I had 5 jobs lined up, and then the whole .com busted through, and all those jobs went away. And I finally found a job, and then the government just decided to illegally tow my car, so I couldn't get to work. And so then I lost that opportunity. It's like, what the fuck, man? It's like, is there just this conspiracy against me? No matter how hard I try to make things happen, somehow, some way, there's someone or something fucking it up for me, and it's so irritating. I'm so over it. But I did find that my family damaged my auric field. They created all this toxic energy there that attracts. We all become magnets. Whatever we're vibrating at, it becomes a magnet. So I recently did an ayahuasca ceremony, and I found that what ayahuasca does is it intensifies the energy. That's why you see all those colorful patterns, colorful beads, those strings, because you're seeing the frequencies. And the last 2 ceremonies I did were horrible, and I kept seeing bugs. I kept seeing all the patterns, but I would see all these bugs, almost like, okay, these are the bugs in the computer program. So I just started visualizing washing them out, cleansing them out. And someone else there was like, yeah, I kept seeing bugs. And then the maestro starts telling us how he infused the Bible into the medicine. I'm like, oh, that's why. Because the Bible is full of distortions, gross mistranslations. Like, it's awful. There's some good nuggets in there, but you got to be discerning when you read it, because there's so many mistranslations. There's so many bugs in it. He basically poisoned the medicine, and that's why we were seeing the bugs. Those are blocks. Those are energetic blocks. They're distortions. It is the distortions that cause suffering. That's what I saw. So you can change your luck around by meditating. By meditating, feeling into your body, feeling into your energy, feeling where there might be stuck energy or distortion, and clearing that out. And really honing in on where you feel powerless, and knowing that you're not powerless, that that's a lie. That's another distortion and a block that you need to rinse out of your system, cleanse out. And align with people who will support you in this process, who will believe in you. Because if you're not aligned with people that are for you healing and doing this process, they're going to bring you down. And I found that I can't do ayahuasca ceremonies with other people. I got to do it on my own, so I can hone in to my energy and not be connecting with other people's energy. I got to get my energy solid and cleansed before I can start doing ceremonies with other people. Because if I'm doing ceremonies with other people, I'm going to be the maestro, cleansing out their energy. But I got to get mine cleansed and solid first. It's kind of like, yeah, you got to get your life together first before you go getting other people's lives together, right? That's why I have waited so long to be a quote-unquote life coach. Like, I already have helped a ton of people just when I was a hairstylist. There's a lot of people out there that are self-proclaimed shamans and life coaches, and they're screwing people up, and it's not cool. I appreciate that they're trying, and they might be helping some people in some ways, but like a lot of therapists, there's a lot of therapists out there that end up screwing people up worse, because they have their wounds that aren't healed yet, and it is those unhealed wounds that cause distortions that are causing distortions in other people's lives. So, yeah, this is what I want to say about this, is that we're all lucky and we're all unlucky. And don't be so proud of yourself that you've accomplished something and you've done this and, oh, I'm so good because, you know, we're all equal, and we all have our different things that we're struggling with, and you never know. You don't know what someone's struggling with. Someone could seem like they have this great life and they have it all together, and inside they're falling apart. You don't know. In high school, there was a girl, she was gorgeous, beautiful, got a brand new red Porsche for her 16th birthday, designer clothes. We were all envious of her, and one day we're sitting around, this one girl starts talking about how her dad came in her room and tried to molest her, and she told her mom. Her mom's like, oh, that's just how it is, deal with it. And we're like, what? And then this girl who we're all envious of, she's like, I have something to tell you guys you can't tell anyone because I'm so scared. She's like, my dad's been molesting me since I was 2, for as long as I can remember, and he makes me sleep with his friends. That's why he buys me all this stuff, to shut me up. But the thing is, she's like, I can't escape because he's wealthy. He knows all these people. He's powerful. I could run and try and hide from him and he'll find me. She's like, I feel trapped. I don't know what to do. So here's this person you think, like, look at, and so then, and knowing that, I look at all these actors and actresses. They put on a show. Their lives seem all great and glamorous, but behind the scenes, their lives could be a living hell. You don't know, you know? So there are lucky people, there are unlucky people, there are people that you think have a good life and don't. There are people that you think have a bad life and maybe they're happy, you know? So you got to keep the focus on the self. That is an ACA thing. Keep the focus on the self. Are you happy? What are you doing? Like, we all make our judgments, but try not to judge other people because you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what's really going on. You don't know what their challenges are. And don't be so proud of someone and their accomplishments, because people only accomplish things when other people help them accomplish that. You know, they got lucky. They did get lucky. Yeah, they worked hard, but they also got lucky. So we are lucky. We're all lucky in certain ways, and we're all unlucky in certain ways. And it's important to stay humble. It's important to stay humble. And it's important to treat each person equally. It's important to honor yourself and honor everybody else and honor us all, that we're all walking on this path of life together, and we need to support each other, honor each other, love each other. Be humble. You're not better than anybody else, and nobody else is better than you. We're all equal. And we're all trying to enjoy life and get through this life. So that's what I want to say about luck. Ways to change your luck. And, you know, I think deep down inside, everybody has a lot of love in them. Everyone wants to be loved, and everybody wants to connect. And it's just the traumas that create fear that cause us to be mean. It's the fear, you know, fear of rejection, fear of failure. It's the distortions that cause the suffering. And when you realize this, then you can start to dismantle all the dysfunctions and the distortions and be more grounded and come to a space of love and empowerment, because you do have control over your life. And in many ways, we're all powerless to certain things. But connect to your heart and believe in that, and believe in love. Believe that love has the power to overcome everything. And I saw in this last ayahuasca ceremony that Jesus did not die for anyone's sins. Everyone must pay for their sins. Everyone has to take accountability for their actions. And it's a beautiful thing to take accountability for your actions. Because when you know that you're accountable for all your actions, maybe you're going to be nicer to people and nicer to yourself. You know? And when you've wronged someone, you realize that you try to make up, you don't just apologize, you try to make things up to them. That mends relationships, then your relationship's stronger. That gives you more, not just more like power, but more life, more beauty, more love, more security, more support. That's what we all want, right? So that's what I want to say about being lucky, unlucky, what to do about it, a little different perspective in life, because this is my perspective and I haven't heard anyone else talk about this. So, yeah. Thank you for listening, and I hope this really helps you to start having a better life.